Hey everybody, this is Josh. Welcome back to the Landlord Harassment Channel. So today, I was not going to make a video. I'm actually doing a whole lot of sort of private spiritual recharging, if you will, this weekend. And a lot of just staying to myself type of stuff and letting thoughts come when they may. I don't want to call it a meditation, but it's just something I'm doing to recharge my batteries. But decided to make this video about why I am no longer a Christian and how this is connected to Haverkamp Properties here in Ames. So, Haverkamp is not the reason I'm no longer a Christian. Okay, I stopped being a Christian 5 years ago, maybe 6 years ago. I actually stopped calling myself a Christian before that, but I stopped sort of messing with the whole Christian world in 2017 or 2018. And for the most part, I haven't really looked back since. But every time that I have a chance to see a group of Christians' true colors, they always make me glad that I walked away from Christianity. And this Haverkamp situation is no different. Now, listen, there's that 10 to 15% of people in every church that do live by the values that they say they live by. You do have those in, well, not every church, but a lot of churches, right? 10 to 15% of the people that say they live a certain way actually do. And that's in the Christian world, the Muslim world, whatever you want to say. But we're talking about the Christian world right now, so we'll just keep it there. But true colors tend to come out in various ways. Let's put it that way. Now, you guys know, if you've watched my other videos, about all the landlord harassment I've endured over the last year, because my landlords don't want to respect my right to peace and quiet. And I am facing eviction now because I've asserted my right to have peace in my own home. And the people who are pushing this eviction on me are largely Christians. And not only that, they're very well-known and high-ranking Christians, like around town here. Brooke Farmer is not, to the best of my knowledge. I mean, she might be a Christian or call herself a Christian or whatever, but I don't get the vibe from her that she's too into the whole church scene, right? But pretty much everybody above her is, like the whole Haverkamp group is, especially the upper management. Todd Wistenberg is a former elder at Cornerstone Church, probably will be an elder again at some point. I guess Cornerstone does this thing where they rotate elders every 2 years or something like that. So he was an elder for a while. He's not an elder anymore, but he probably will be back in the elder game like next year or something. But still very well respected, very, for lack of a better term, because my brain can't think of a better term, high-ranking church member in Cornerstone. You know what I'm saying? I know Cornerstone wouldn't put it like that, but you know what I'm saying. This guy's got a lot of sort of clout in that world, in the whole Cornerstone church world and stuff like that. And he's okay with his landlords harassing me, and for no real good reason. And he actually supports that, as do apparently most other people in the Haverkamp group. So now with Brent, again, I'm still somewhat withholding judgment because I don't know if he's actually seen my emails or not. I know that he intentionally detaches himself from his rental properties. So my emails may have gone to a spam folder and he just may never have seen them. So as much as I want to kind of bring Brent into this, I'm sparing him for now, right? So Brent might not even know anything that's going on with me. But back to my main point. Like, how, after something like this, how do you expect people to think, yeah, man, I think I want to be a Christian again, right? It's not going to happen because people in the streets will do you dirty too, but they'll tell you, you know what I'm saying? The streets are actually more honest than the church most of the time, which is a weird thing to say, but it's actually true. And Christians, when they do you dirty, they do you dirty in such a, they just have a way of doing it that makes it like more hurtful than when a street person or a person who's not a Christian does you dirty. You know what I'm saying? I don't know how to put that into words. You have to have been a part of the Christian world to see it. But you guys know I have a lot of street experience and stuff. I am a lot more, for the most part, my friends that I had when I was committing crimes as a youngster, hanging out with gangs and stuff, were a lot more trustworthy than 99% of the Christians that I've ever met, both in business and in just like friendship. You know what I'm saying? So, Haverkamp is not the reason I'm not a Christian anymore. So, if you took that from the title of the video, don't take that. But Haverkamp, all their upper managements are very well-known Christians around here because Cornerstone is the biggest church probably in the whole state of Iowa. And, when they have a chance to do the right thing or do someone dirty, they're just generally going to do someone dirty, especially if there's something in it for them to do someone dirty, right? So it's just the way it goes. No, I've told you guys about the logistical. I mean, besides having like the personal issues with churches and all that, there's also the just practical reasons I'm not a Christian, right? And I talked about that before. Like, why go to church every week when you've heard every sermon before, right? I mean, I know how to ride a bike. So I'm not going to classes teaching me how to ride a bike every week. Might go once in a while, but after a while it gets redundant. And the thing is like most pastors and most Christians in general have been heavily sheltered. So they can't really teach me nothing about like resisting sin and such like that anyway. I've resisted more sin in any given year than most pastors have in their whole lifetimes. And that's back when I was a secular man. That's back before I ever even thought about, being a church dude and being a Christian dude and all that sort of stuff. So even as a secular man, I had already resisted more sin than most pastors will ever see in their whole life. These pastors think they've done something to resist sin when they avoid looking at a girl's backside on the beach or something, right? They don't, they've never been offered $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 to like turn their back on a friend. You know what I'm saying? They've never really dealt with real temptation to sin. So what can they teach what can they teach me about resisting temptation to sin, right? And that's half of what churches is like resisting temptation to sin so that you can walk in Christ or whatever. I already did a better job than most of them of that when I was a secular person. I am the most qualified pastor of any church around here. And the thing is, I'm not saying that as a brag, because I'm nowhere near anything that is close to even being a qualified pastor, and I would never call myself such. But these so-called leaders that everybody looks up to, I'm miles ahead of them in the sin resistance game, and I'm miles ahead of them in my core values game. Like, I am somebody who sticks to my core values no matter what. Do I screw up on them? Yeah. But I got a really, really solid set of core values. And my core values are more biblical than most pastors. Like just the core values that I have for myself, much less living out those values on a daily basis. We're not even going there. We're just talking about my core values themselves are a lot more biblical and a lot better than most pastors and most church leaders. And I'm not even a Christian. So there's just a lot of stuff there. But no, my inner group of inner circle of friends are wonderful people. And they are almost all dedicated Christians. However, these are the guys who are like guys and girls who are kind of like at the edge of they're not really deeply immersed in their own church's culture. They have a mind of their own. They think for themselves, so they don't jump on a lot of bandwagons, so to speak. So they're just easier to talk to and deal with and connect with. And so I'm lucky I found those people. But see, those are like the 10 or 15% that I'm talking about out of the, millions of Christians that are out there. Those are the 10 or 15 Christians out of every 200 Christians that you find. You know what I'm saying? And that's another thing. Like, most Christians don't really have the values they say they have. They just, a lot of them, they didn't really have a lot of friends when they first got to college, and this ministry thing kind of came along, so they just kind of went with it. You know what I mean? Which is why anytime you challenge any of their doctrines, even accidentally, they get really uptight. You know what I'm saying? They're like the house of cards that Jesus was talking about. They just fall over quick. So I'm miles ahead of them. And I don't want that to be true, but it is true. Because I know what my value system is. I've spent a lot of time thinking about what my value system should be and internalizing my personal value system. Very few people do that, and even very fewer Christians do that. And that's not to knock people. I'm just telling you what the reality of the situation is. Me personally, I will never be a Christian again. Like, it's just not even in the cards. Now, will I attend a church service ever again? Haven't attended one in a really long time, 6, 7 years, something like that. Haven't been anywhere near any kind of ministries in a good 5 years. Now, I might occasionally attend a church service. Like, let's say a friend is going to church, and let's say I'm meeting him for lunch after church or something, and he wants me to meet him there. Yeah, I might go to a church service in that situation, but that's not going to be a regular thing, right? Just kind of a once in a while type deal right there. But the church world has nothing to offer me except sanitized garbage, really. You know what I'm saying? So for that reason, I just don't go. Church people, like I said, these Haverkamp Properties people, they're screwing me over, and they know it. They're just doing it in like a sanitized way, but they're doing it very ruthlessly as well. That's who most Christians are. Like, Todd Westenberg right now is showing you who most Christians are. That's just the reality of it. So where I'm at in my faith right now, I still believe like in Jesus and like the scriptures and all that. I just have a different take on them than most churches because I don't look at it through like their lens. And I'm more into a lot of self-improvement type of stuff than they would be. And there's a lot of things that I don't think are sin that most churches do think are sin. And there's just a lot of things, right? So, but I care about the character and the soul of a particular man more than I care about like what his personal religion is or whether or not he even has one, he or she even has one. And once you show me that you're a man of the character that you say that you represent, that's when I start having a lot of respect for you. You know what I mean? Because there's just not that many people out there, Christian or not, that have that kind of spirit and soul. And when you meet those people, it's a gift. It's a gift from God, really. I got 10 friends right now. How many people can say they have 10 friends? People think they have hundreds of friends, but really, real friends, most people don't get 10 friends in their whole lifetime put together. I got 10 friends right now. Real friends, people I can call, that'll like, if my car's broke down, and I'm 2 hours away in the middle of nowhere, and it's 2 a.m, they'll come right there and pick me up. You know what I'm saying? So, losing my train of thought here. But yeah, I guess I'm just trying to say, like, Haverkamp Properties does tie into why this whole situation does tie into why I'm no longer a Christian. They're not the reason I'm no longer a Christian. I made that decision a long time ago. But they're just another example of why I'm, when they show their true colors, like they've been showing their true colors to me lately, they're just another example of why I'm better off at my own instead of at some church. I know some of you might say, well, that's just Cornerstone. No, it's not. It's Cornerstone. It's Harvest Time. It's any church from back in Milwaukee. It doesn't matter, really. But the good news is that my spirituality that I actually have is pretty solid, and it's more solid than it ever was when I was, trying to be a Christian. All the bad stuff that happened to me in the church world was a blessing in disguise because it helped shape and helped make me a stronger person than I ever would have been before. And that's something I can thank God for. That's all for today. See you guys later. Have a good weekend.